Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, you would see the biggest gift would be from me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant.
Greetings. Something from the screen. Hello, you all. Can you all hear me and see me? You golden,
Yes.
beautiful girls. It's good to see you all again, and thank you for joining us. Hi, there you are. Like I said, I want to thank you for taking the time to join us on the Women in Ag Wednesday talk show. And the reason we do this show is to highlight the wonderful work women are doing in agriculture. We are very thankful that you all were one of the are some of the individuals that had an impact in my life as well as the whole National Women in Agriculture, because we came back in awe what you're doing down there in Tampa. We're going to go around and Miss Kitty, starting with you. Can you introduce yourself and tell the name of your organization, where you're located, and then we'll move on to Miss Michelle. Miss Kitty, you're up, honey. Can you hear me? Miss Kitty? Michelle, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if Miss Kitty, I don't know if she could hear me or not because I was asking her. You can't hear me?
And she's speaking.
Okay, I'll have my assistant get in touch with her to make sure, because I'm able to hear her on this side. So, Miss Michelle, could you go ahead and introduce yourself and the name of your organization and what you do there in the Tampa area?
Of course. Thank you. And thank you so much for allowing us to share our small project. I am Michelle Ogilvie. I'm a board member of the Coalition of Community Gardens. I've been a member for about 2.5 years now. And I don't want to steal Kitty's thunder because she is the co-establisher or co-founder of the Coalition of Community Gardens. I am a um, retired long-range planner for Hillsborough County, which is the county in which Tampa sits. And I met the Coalition of Community Gardens members about 5 years ago, uh, working in with health and transportation and long range planning. And I have been walking with these ladies, mostly ladies, for the last 5 years. And when it was time to leave employment, I landed here. I help to manage a program that, while a planner at in Hillsborough County, we won a small grant or award actually from the Healthiest Cities and Counties Challenge. Our program is called Garden Steps, and we have our goal is to well, what we did was we discovered that there were areas within the city of Tampa that had food deserts, and those food deserts also manifested themselves in high uh, disease, such as diabetes and cancer and obesity and other things that I'm sure many of you are aware of. And so, because gardening is our thing, we said, and health, what you put in your body really does help you to become a healthier person, your surroundings as well. And what better way to impact the individual, the family, and the community, but with a garden? And so we have been working for the last year and a half about on implementing that Garden Steps project. And we are so excited. We set some goal. We have partners in the community, the City of Tampa, Transportation Department, Economic Development, Sustainability are just a few of our partners. We have our bus line company is one of our sponsors, and I wanted to,
I love
and partners, because they're unusual.
it. Yes.
When you think of agriculture, this is not what you're thinking, but
Right.
that's how we started. And the Department of Health is another partner that has been wonderful. And of course, we really have to, give a shout out to our transportation planning organization, Hillsborough County Metropolitan Planning, now Transportation, what is it called? Planning Organization. Every county in the United States has one. And as planners, one of the things that's most important is health. That's why we plan. So I don't know if Kitty is ready
Well,
yet,
thank you.
but
So,
I don't want to monopolize this. So
well, that was definitely a great overview, and we're going to get more into your partners because that's part of the show is to try to help others to mimic what you're doing to help our
absolutely.
all of our communities across the United States. And Miss Kitty Wallace, can you hear us now, Miss Kitty? I don't know why I'm not able to hear her. Can you try to call her? Okay, we're going to try to call her because she's not communicating with us. So we're going to go on, and when Miss Kitty gets on, my assistant is calling her right now to make sure to get her audio going and make sure we're all on the same page. Um, I want to talk a little bit about your partners. You went in and you said that the transportation department for the county of Hillsburg, that was one of your primary partners that really helps. That's helping with financial support resources, or like, can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Of course. It began with basically financial support by allowing staff
Mhm,
to participate in the challenge.
mhm,
And so that was a huge support, because the infrastructure that the transportation organization has is federally based. And because it is a planning focus, they bring in all kinds of help in terms of the resources that the staff has. And so that was really wonderful. They had already had, people who are helping you with communication. We have an understanding of who the community is. We have, the resources to turn to our GIS people and say, can you give us a map that shows this? We can communicate with our elected officials, because they are part of the transportation system. So it's like all of that's a great way to enter a conversation.
So at
And
the transportation department, if I'm understanding with their partnership, is that where you all are doing like community gardens right there at the bus stops or what?
yes,
Okay.
well, this particular program. Yes, that's what we chose. It actually was by it was like, oh my goodness, there's the bus. Yes. It
So
just
garden
ticks a
steps,
lot
like
of boxes, in terms of yeah, because it's one of the more uh, popular bus routes,
mhm.
and it happened to be in the right place. We have
Love it.
a bunch of schools around us.
Mhm.
Um, we had like I said, the bus system is worked. We had the support of the East Tampa Economic Development Group, who gave us a nod and said, sure, this looks like a good place. So all those things really helped us to decide where to locate. We have a demonstration garden that we'd like to grow into a garden park, and
Mm,
we're working on that this year.
that is phenomenal. Well, looks like Miss Kitty is back with us. Miss Wallace, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes,
I don't know
thank
what
you.
happened. I was like, we were talking earlier,
Oh,
right? I'm so glad. You are
I
awesome.
was pushing every button.
Oh, you're fine. I mean, you stole my heart when we had the lunch in the garden, in that wonderful community garden. And like I said, when I walked away
Yes.
from Tampa, from you, it came back. I was so empowered by you ladies, what you're doing in your
Yeah.
community, because you're not even like with big resources. You're doing this from your heart. And the resources are following. So that's the reason I was like, I got to get people like this on the show. So, Miss Kitty, can you give your name and your
Yes.
position and the name of your organization and everything? Miss
Sure.
Kitty?
Thank
Okay.
you very much for giving us the opportunity to talk about our wonderful garden and our coalition of gardens that we have formed. My name is Kitty Wallace, and I'm a retired educator, and I just had too much time on my hands. So I got connected with the group in Tampa Heights that were getting ready to plan their community garden, and I was excited to be able to be a part of that. So that was now 10 years ago. So our garden has grown in many ways. We've added grapes, we've added fish, we've added solar
Mm.
panels, all the things, that just keep people excited and interested and engaged. So we are now spreading out from our garden to other smaller sister gardens in the neighborhood, as well as different ones of our garden members are so engaged with their garden and sharing it with their friends and neighbors. And one of our gardeners is a teacher, and he's been sharing it with his high school students. And they got so excited that they asked him if they could come garden in our garden. And it just so happened that we had a family who unfortunately had become ill during the fall and just never quite came back into the garden to get set up. So they were glad to just take a year off and let the high school students have that garden. So we're looking forward to, all the ripple effects that will happen because we have a wonderful garden and we have shared it and we have promoted it. And, through our engagement with different aspects of the community and with Michelle's help, are now involved in promoting local growing your own food through our East Tampa initiative, the Healthy 22nd Street initiative in East Tampa.
Wow, that's a whole lot. I like what you said, and this is for all the ones that are listening through our different social media platforms, YouTube. We're streaming everywhere live right now, and literally we have
Yeah.
people in different countries that come on and speak, able to listen to how you said you were bored. And you got out there and you just started making it happen, but it's kept you so healthy because you look wonderful. I've met you in person. Your energy, your education skills that you would bring back full circle through the garden is very unique. Because some people just think, well, I don't know what else to do. But here you ladies are, you're doing it in your community through community gardens. Can you talk a little bit about and explain what are the essential skills that you feel people need to have as an agriculturalist or a person in agriculture? What are some of the essential skills in order to be
Well, I think you
successful?
want to be humble. I'm sorry. I think that it's very important to be humble and do your research and speak, give people an opportunity to ask their questions and share their information and be a good listener. And those are skills that I have found that I brought with me from education and from my, you know, essence as a human being. And I think they've helped uh, others be successful as gardeners because I I feel like I'm always learning. I just learned something today that when you're growing beets, you can just start taking the outer leaves of the beets before you're even harvesting the beet and eat those beet greens. I've always eaten beet greens, but after I've harvested the beet, then I'm cooking the beet greens with the beet, and I love that. That's so tasty. But
Nutrition.
I learned today you can just start harvesting those greens while they're growing. So who knew?
That's awesome. So you could take the greens, that the green part of the turnip, which is like the foliage, and you could eat that or cook it
Well,
with
I bet you could do it with turnips too. I've always, yeah.
oh beets.
So that's a
That's
good thing to
beets.
know from a
Yeah,
gardener's
yeah.
perspective.
Well, yeah, and like you said, I do interchange beets and turnips. I don't know why, but I understand the beets are the deep purple maroon things, and the beets. I mean, that's the turnip, and the beets
Yes,
are
yes,
the
yes.
white.
And
Okay,
that's right. And
right. That I like
I've
them in
noticed
salads.
people say they don't like beets. It's
I
kind of
only
funny
like
because
kind
I've
of
always liked
intertwined with
beets,
the
and then I
salad.
started hearing people say, "Oh yeah, no, I don't like beets."
I
Well,
do
I've
that.
developed a few recipes that help. My whole family loves beets, so I guess it worked.
Awesome. They're very nutritious. Um, Going back to Michelle. Michelle, can you speak to us a little bit about what are some of the essential skills that you would actually tell people who are trying to get to the agriculture industry, or new and beginning farmers, or whomever who's interested in just going to garden in their backyard?
Well, one of the things, as Kitty just said, that you learn is humility. If you are really, really, truly just open to listening and learning from others, like Kitty just said, she has years and years of experience in the garden, but she just learned something today.
Yeah, every day.
And one of the things that we are we do in our Garden Steps project is that we have been so blessed to have a core number of women who come from very different backgrounds,
Yes.
and the sisterhood, the
Yes.
openness, the heart that
Yes.
they bring to our meetings is just such a beautiful thing, and it shows that if you are if you have any interest whatsoever in learning, if you wish to learn, if you wish to share, if you wish to improve your surroundings, your home, your family, your earth.
Yes.
There is just so much if you just come with that love in your heart.
Yes.
And that's what I have picked up from the core members who have been just a real joy. And we didn't know them a year and a half ago, but they came. They bring with them, sometimes they bring a fruit that they just grew.
Yes. Awesome.
Sometimes they share their seeds. And that's the thing. I mean, you have the generosity of your heart that, that this seed, this tree, this, excuse me, whatever it might be, is to be shared. It's not an ownership. And,
So
it's about your community, and to listen to our group who, as I said before, come from so many different places. We have a lady from the Virgin Islands. We have a lady from India.
Love
We have
it.
a lady
Oh my
from,
God, this is
you know,
beautiful.
from
That's the reason I want to have the
Africa.
conference.
Yes, and we've had and then you just see people come together. There's this beautiful oneness.
Yes.
I mean, it's helpful that we all speak English. I have to confess to that. you know, but I'm sure that
Beautiful.
regardless, we can find a way because of what it is that we live on this one planet, and this planet feeds us and takes care of us, and just the willingness of our group to share that acknowledgement, and to give back and to take and to give back. That back and forth is just beautiful. One of the things last week, I think it was, we had a session because we meet at least once a month, if weather permitting. Sometimes it rains so crazy here. We can't meet, and we meet outside, just as we did in the Tampa Heights Garden.
Yes.
And we had a gentleman who saw us he was passing on the street and he joined us and he said, I have never grown anything.
Right.
And he says, I'm in landscaping. And I'm like,
Imagine that.
yes. He says,
That's
I've never
agriculture.
grown anything. I said, well, come. And I suspect we may have him join us more often. But yeah, he was like, well, there are all these ladies here, and I'm a guy. And I go, that's okay. We don't see
It's
that.
okay.
We see
Very
a
good.
human being who wants to share, wants to learn, has an inquiring mind. And yeah, so that's been one of the things that is what we learn, what we see with our differences don't matter. Whatever they may be. One of the things Kitty spoke of, the school, the
Well,
children in the garden. We also have a partnership with a STEM school, in which is just a stone's throw from the Garden Steps project, the 22nd Street Garden, and we've had tremendous encouragement from that as well.
That's awesome. That whole piece, which we'll say humility, sharing, listening, those are the nuggets that I'm taking. And I know those are the true nurturements or the nutrition or to fertilize your plants to me. Because that means that you take all that love and you put it back into God's earth, and look what comes. You're able to feed several people. Miss Kitty, I want to talk to you about, are you a first time farmer, or how long you've been actually doing agriculture? Because I use agriculture and farming. I use them together. We use agriculture, I guess, to be more sophisticated and into today's time. But farming, we try to make it attractive to the next generation. That's what I put. So tell us how long you've been in it, a little bit about your background. Miss
well,
Kitty.
I'll start. I've been growing things since I was tagging along behind my grandmother,
Okay.
watching her grow her tomatoes. She was a gardener in Ohio in all of her growing up days. And when she and my grandfather became elderly, they moved in with us in Miami, Florida. And
Okay.
so she was on a new path because it's very different growing conditions in those two places. And
Okay.
so I just watched her, and I always enjoyed working in the yard. I wasn't so much growing my own vegetables until I married my husband, but my father was always quite interested in growing vegetables. And when he retired, he whole screened in greenhouse
Mhm.
for his vegetables, and he was always so proud to show me and the children, my kids, his grandkids, all of his beans and all of the things he was growing. So my husband was always a gardener. His family's always had a garden, and so then my experience with agriculture grew as I understood more about composting, which my family didn't seem to do, and so that was a good learning experience. And just understanding about the seasons of about what plants you plant and what growing seasons and some of those things. So I'm almost 75 in just a minute. I'll be that golden age, and so I guess I've been growing for almost all my life. But I wanted to go back to that one point that you made about what are the things that you bring to agriculture. If it's all right with you, is it okay for me to continue, Tammy?
Yes, please, please. This is your show. We want people to absorb this knowledge because I know I am.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Because that for talking with new gardeners who come to our community garden, and they feel uncomfortable. They've never really gardened before, and they even sometimes think that they have what's known colloquially as a black thumb. And I listen to them. I don't like say, oh no, anybody can garden. I don't, because that's really like saying to them what they just said didn't matter. I never want to do that to somebody. So my reply is, you know what? I've watched people who do not think that they can garden, and on them a couple of tricks, and I'll bet that I show you the tricks too. And so we just move on to the whole thing about I'm scared. I don't know how to garden. I have a black some gardeners that learn you can do. So we just give that confidence and listen. And when go and ask them to you're in here,
I'm having a little audio. Are you getting any of that, Michelle, on your end? And on my side, I'm getting like bits and pieces. Like there's the
Me
internet.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Unfortunately. But
Yes, no, because she's just full of knowledge. And I know
it is.
the weather is not the best. It's very windy, so I never know what the elements are doing to the outside. Miss Kitty, if hopefully you could come back in because you're like frozen on my side. So Michelle, talk to us about, have you seen what challenges, I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. What challenges have you endured being a farmer, a female farmer or a minority farmer? Because I see that that you are of a culture that I want to make sure. What have you seen that's happened to you, and how did you overcome it?
I have to confess that my struggles are self-made.
Is what? I'm sorry.
Are self-made.
Oh, okay.
It's so interesting. The other day, Kitty and another gardener coach, leader, Karen Elizabeth, who was unable to join us, I guess, today, were sharing their beans. And Miss Kitty said, just use your thumb with your finger, line it in the soil, drop them in, you'll be good. Well, I followed instructions. I used this beautiful soil. Everything was wonderful. And I forgot to water them every day.
Well, you have to give them a start.
I told you it was self.
I love it.
That's one of those little tricks I was mentioning.
Yeah, not to say that. Anyway, so I had 2 left, and I had a pot where my sprinkler system comes on normally in the yard. So I dropped two of those peas into this pot that had a plant that had passed on.
Hmm.
Do you know, I come out there to yesterday and I have a flower.
Look at that.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Look
But
at that.
to talk about some of the hardships for people who are not self-determined, like,
That's really
abuse
what
their
we're talking about.
plants.
Yeah.
I think what we are learning is there are several things in terms of resources
Hmm.
that are difficult. Uh, as Kitty was just talking about, the the self confidence of being able to give yourself time to go, well, I'm not an expert, but even great farmers have failed crops, right?
Yeah.
Because of the environment.
Love that.
Or all kinds of things happen. But it's about what I have heard from learning from the community, and when they share, is that it's about that confidence. So much around us tells us that we can't. And I think Kitty was just talking about that in terms of, excuse me, allergies.
Understandable.
Um,
I suffer with them also.
yeah, about, I can't, but you can.
You
And
can.
that's what gardening and community gardening brings, is that always that encouragement. There's somebody's going to say something, someone's going to encourage you, someone's going to share.
Hmm.
And really, we want to, excuse me,
You're fine.
focus on the positive and leave all the other things that are out there discouraging us.
That's right. Miss Kitty, can you kind of come in and talk to us? Have you ever had any
Yeah.
hurdles? I'm sure you have. As being a female farmer or an agriculturalist, tell us some of how you overcome some of those barriers that are there for us as women agriculture participants. We're still dragging. Cool.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what is a barrier to a woman in agriculture. I guess it might be people confidence in your ability to be a good farmer.
Mhm.
Because I really never think of something as a barrier. If
Good
there's
for
something
you.
I
That's
want
good.
to accomplish and I'm not easily getting it done, I figure out another way to accomplish it and make a list and keep after it. I don't know. I think that what I see as a concern is women in agriculture may already have so many roles in their family. I know a young woman right now who has her own consulting gardening consulting business, but she has 3 children and a husband, and she has a sister who's now in college that is staying with her. And so there's all of those responsibilities, and she's trying to balance them with her business, which she loves, which is installing gardens and helping new gardeners to be successful.
Well, I would definitely need to
Um,
get her name. I would love to get her
a
name and
leader in
contact
other community gardens.
that is really encouraging to hear. What you all
Yeah,
say your barriers are just not
the
being.
barrier that I
There are no
see is
barriers.
how much women they have what they've taken on.
Yes, Miss Kitty, your internet. I got some of that, but the gist of it is this wonderful woman that you
Yes,
know that
no,
she
because we've
sells
gone
for.
so many different uh, individuals, professor. Uh,
I want to get that person's name. Yeah, she's freezing again. Do you know Michelle, who she's talking about? That's the installer. Could you?
Yes,
What was her name?
it's Dee, and we have her as a member of the coalition.
How many members
She's
do
a,
you have in your coalition there?
the coalition has about 35 gardens, but there are people who are maybe um, individual gardeners and are also very
Right.
supportive of gardening. And yeah, we have met Dee, and we can supply her name
Right.
to you after the show.
Yes, I would love that
And
whole.
yeah,
I love
she's
it.
doing phenomenal work. These are young women who, in
Yes.
their
We
30s,
we
their
have
early
people that just
30s.
like to be involved with what's going on in gardening. Yes.
Do you all participate in any of the USDA programs? I know when I came there, I don't think you all had heard of certain programs. And I was wondering, because that's one of the my responsibility as a partner to the USDA, our organization, is to make sure we bring more female farmers to the forefront. I see our garden angel. So, have you all been able to tap in any of the, we have to make sure that happens for you. Literally, I want to connect you all to FSA first, as well as Natural Resource Conservation Services, NRCS, because those are two phenomenal USDA programs that could assist you all with even resources to develop your farms or your gardens. But and then there's some other things to do, some value added. That's another USDA program where you can get some grant fundings to assist. That's what it's for, especially with what you're doing for the community. Because I always tell people, grants in agriculture is for the USDA. I know those grants are for nonprofits, organizations, or colleges. But there are substantial resources out there for you all to participate in that can further increase whatever you're doing, even to hire help on some of that, or pay yourselves to do the work that you're doing. That always helps with, encouraging or empowering people to stay engaged. I am going to pause there and let Miss Karen Elizabeth. I call her my garden queen. Hi, how are you? I'm so
I'm
glad
great.
you're
I've
doing.
got about 10 minutes before the kiddos arrive in the classroom here. So, hello,
Well,
nice
you
to
can
see
give
you
me the
again.
stage to just talk to us what you do in the coalition. Like I said, when I met all of you, it just blessed my heart. And you took me to a lady or community where this lady has a whole child care piece that takes kids from preschool all up way up to 12th grade. That I walked away so empowered by all of you ladies. Karen, can you go ahead and talk to us a little bit about what you do? And
Sure. Currently, I'm sitting in the classroom. It's empty for a few minutes. So, this is a newer piece for me, and it's a pilot program at at one of the county schools here, where we're blending gardening with their STEM program. So that's pretty exciting. So I'm waiting for the fifth graders to arrive for our time together this week. So that's why I'm a little late in hooking in. So I was on the drive out here. I also am the founder of the community garden in Plant City. And I have been very involved with the coalition and was their garden steps coordinator for, I don't know, year and a half.
love it.
Yeah. So, and had the great opportunity to meet you and the staff and Amanda here locally in Florida. It's a once in a lifetime and amazing opportunity to, I don't know, find your group and
Thank you.
find the support that you're providing for all of us involved in growing food.
Well, I give all credit to God because He connects all the right people. I always say He brings, especially us women. He knows how to put us together, and we're getting ready to make something phenomenal happen. Because I am hoping to do our symposium this year in Tampa. because I want to highlight what you're doing, so people could see you and bring resources from a federal level, if you will, to your area, because the work that you're doing should be all over America or all over the world to me. I want to highlight ladies like you all who are literally consistently doing it and bringing more people on through community gardening. And a lot of people, Miss Kitty was giving her nuggets and words of wisdom of just staying and encouraged. And there are no barriers. You could do whatever. And that's what I'm taking away. Also, do you find it challenging for you as being a female with working with any entity as far as government entity, from the city all the way up to the federal level? What barriers have there been for you?
I'm not so sure that it has to do with gender.
Okay.
Maybe. I'm in an area where there's quite a bit of agriculture that's generational. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And I think, in my view, that generally, if there's any barriers, it's more that what community gardens bring isn't taken as seriously as it should be. So I think, at least in my neighborhood, that's what I would have the takeaway with more than gender.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to hear. I always said that Tampa is one of those areas that I feel that should be even highlighted, how to treat gardeners or women in agriculture, because you all have some great support from the city level. I've seen them, and you've told me about your partners and that whole Garden Steps. Can you talk to me a little bit about that, or is that for one of the other ladies? The Garden Steps program that I guess
yeah, I think Kitty or Michelle would probably just have more background with that information. And I may quickly just have to leave if the kids start coming in here. So
no
thank you for giving me some time.
And I called you my garden queen, the garden queen, because she was literally like taking us to all these places just graciously. And I was like, she's an angel. And I was saying, she's our garden angel. That you're able to connect and do the work. And you were showing me your water system there at one of the stops. There was a community garden that had flowers, and you guys were working on something. Could you talk a little bit about that? That was where like you had some materials there, but you were having to water manually. And I was like, it's like a lagoon or something that's right there. I can't really. Do you know what I'm talking about, Michelle? That's where you met us at. Sidewalk garden.
Yes, Karen Elizabeth, she would like to highlight your self-watering.
Oh, the barrels, sure.
Yes.
That was our demonstration garden.
Yes.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit, share with that? Because I thought
we created some self-wicking gardens with half of a 55-gallon drum that we cut in half, and created a water reservoir in the bottom so that the soil would just be able to wick water from there and keep its own balance simply by keeping that reservoir full. And I think that really, really made the gardening effort for new gardeners much easier.
And those reservoirs, you actually, how often do you go by to put water in there?
We made access with a PVC pipe that could be just filled with the hose. Yeah, directly with the hose, and would fill that reservoir automatically with an overflow. So it would only get up to a certain level without drowning the rest of the soil.
Okay. I'm saying, like, would you tap into where that the creek or the river? It was like a trench of water or something. I remember when we were there, I was trying to see how you tapped into that. Do you literally like bring the water to that? Or you, like you said, you have PVC pipe that ties into that water?
Yeah. The demonstration garden did not have water access.
Okay.
So we had to hand carry water in, and we saved milk jugs and filled those with water to bring those in.
Okay, that's where I feel that Natural Resource Conservation Services could assist you all. They actually have programs to help with water systems. That's the USDA NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Services. That's a resource that is available to any farmer or agriculture person who's doing such work like you're doing, where you don't have to, they'll help with
Yes.
irrigation. So that's something that I would love for you all to take away, and whoever's there listening, that you all can take it away as well. Um, I'm going to go back to Miss Kitty to see, because we're having some audio difficulties with Miss Kitty, as far as the internet staying stable. Miss Kitty, do you want to
That-
add some more
that's
words
it.
of wisdom? See, we're having like she's cutting in and out.
That is an area that is key to all urban agriculture. And that's a challenge, because looking for ways to acquire water. So we are working with our local extension office, as well as USF Environment Engineering. There's a project, and the Tampa Bay Estuary Resource Fund. So we've got some thinkers reaching out to establish some additional the mechanics and the understanding of how to manage some of that type of water acquisition. Yeah, we're working on it. It's an issue.
Yes, it is, and that's exactly what most people have problems with keeping their projects watered. You can put it in the ground, but making sure those things get watered consistently or timely, that's always an issue. And like I said, we definitely want to make sure we connect you to that program, because the work you guys, 35 gardens you have across the Tampa area, that's phenomenal. I mean, and you guys have how many workers or people or members that assist you ladies with those projects? I don't know. Michelle, you want to get that?
Perhaps since Karen Elizabeth is the head
was the
of one
question? I'm
of
sorry.
those gardens, she may want to share that on
Well,
volunteers.
I know we have partners in the community, so we'll get volunteers from University of South Florida, University of Tampa, besides our own initially from garden to garden. So I'm going to have to say goodbye. I think you can see the kids coming in behind me. And it's so wonderful to see you again, Tammy. Be careful. Be blessed.
You too. Thank you. I'll see you. Thank you for joining us. Well, ladies, I am going to ask a couple of more questions, and then I'm going to open the actual lines for if there's people out there that would like to ask you questions, and we'll get ready to close off so you all can go about your day. But I wanted to make sure that I acknowledged you to let you know I didn't forget. I don't forget good people that make impacts in so many people's lives, because that's really hard and unique, that people will get out of their own self's way, or out of their comfort zones, if you will, of their own families. I mean, you all could take care of your own homes and your own gardens and your own yards, but you choose to go out in the community. Right. And I said, hey, I told my assistant, I said, I have to speak to those ladies again. I have to make sure that the world see what women in agriculture are doing on a huge scale. Because 35 gardens, I'm still blown away that you all are taking care of those. So starting with Miss Kitty, what words of wisdom would you give to the next generation that's coming behind you and myself? What would you like to tell them what they could do to be successful like you are?
Wow, the sound is breaking up so badly. I couldn't actually hear the question. Could you try it again?
Yes, I said, what words of wisdom would you give the next generation in order to be successful in gardening? Or anyone? Words of wisdom.
Okay. Well, for anyone successful in gardening, understand the importance of soil. That absolutely not have without understanding soil. So, use natural compost, you understanding the microbial life beneath the soil and how to nourish it and
Yes.
not disrupt it. That absolutely, for somebody coming in to be a garden leader, has to understand that. Not every gardener has to understand that, as long as somebody understands that, because
Right.
we have a very typically sandy soil,
Mhm.
which water just runs right through and nutrients don't hang around long. So we always are having to enrich the soil with naturally through use of compost.
Mhm.
That's number one for somebody looking to garden, and that will be different in different locations in the country, because the soil is different, because it comes from a different foundational base. So if you understand your soil, that's first, and then understanding the seasons. Lots of times people want to plant certain things that they like, certain vegetables. I remember one of our very best gardeners was asked a question by a lady that she couldn't get her yellow crookneck squash to grow in a certain month of the year. And he said, well, don't plant that squash in that month. And she kept on going on, but it's got this mildew and it's got, and he said, ma'am, just don't plant squash in that month of the year. It
Right.
doesn't grow in that month. It was, just one of
A
those
summer crop.
precious moments where you have to really, bow down to the people who know stuff.
That's
And
right.
listen to
That's
them.
right. That's as we have you as an expert. Thank you so much. What about you, Miss Michelle? What words of wisdom in order to be successful in community garden?
I go back to what we've been saying all along, is that willingness to try, to be willing to listen. I think that story Kitty just told about, don't plant in that season is
Know
hilarious.
your season. Listen to the expert.
Yes, 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 yes. And so many do have from tried, from study, from many avenues, people have expertise, and that's the thing about sharing. So, as I look at our millennials, we have several who come and are participating. They're so encouraging because they're open and
Yes.
they're accepting. And I think those are the things that Kitty just pointed out, is that we need to be open to the possibilities that perhaps squash is not supposed to go in the ground in July. I don't know when it's supposed to go.
The winter months. The winter
I
months.
think right now is a good time for it.
That's fine.
I
That's
have some
fine.
growing in my compost, but anyway, I need to go back. But that's the joy of it all. As one lady was saying to me, she got some seeds from the Caribbean and she put them in, and she says they died, and I went,
It's not hot enough.
still too early, yeah, with climate. So, we talked about that, and she was like, well, maybe I shouldn't have. So,
Understanding
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Your
but
words to be successful, to sum it up, I'm hearing the words to be successful is to make sure that you yield and listen to the experts of the field. Make sure that you know, and like she said earlier, Miss Kitty, research. If you don't know, we're in a time that we have the internet, everything's on YouTube that you want to know. To be humble, that's my takeaway as well. To make sure you stay humble and listen. Miss Kitty dropped that nugget, all this good knowledge, right? And these are things that we want to make sure that we keep increasing the agriculture count for women, men, and children, because we really think that children, that's a
Right.
way to actually save our children from incarceration or death, is through the sustainable field of agriculture.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One
I
of the
really
partners
think-
that we didn't mention is our Soil and Conservation Commission. And one of their largest, most successful gardens, because they too do big farming,
Project.
and is unfortunately, but fortunately, I guess, where the youth are locked up,
Yeah.
and the director always talks about the beautiful work these young people do
Yes.
in gardening and produce fantastic tomatoes. I believe is what I heard, and this just it it's sad, but
That's
it's not
that's right.
because
It's right, because you're teaching them, or they are teaching them a life-term skill. We will
exactly,
always need food on this earth. We will always need
exactly,
our environment, understanding how to take care of it so we don't breathe
Right.
in bad air. Everything's agriculture. Actually, we were able to drill down to know that there are 1,000 careers in agriculture. And if we
yes,
start teaching our children to be agriculturalists with the not curriculum, the extracurricular activity of sports or entertainment, I think that we will be a more solid society.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, getting back to the basics of life where you'll always have a career.
Yes,
You will be able to take care
Right.
of others instead of just worrying about your household or what have
exactly,
you.
exactly.
You ladies, that concludes our show. I think that we had a good hand chat, as I like to say. And I always like to end, it's always a great day in ag to make that bag. That's kind of a new little hip terminology, lingo for the young people. I want to take the time to thank you again, the Tampa, Florida Garden Coalition with the Footstep Gardens, right? Am I saying that correctly?
Garden steps. I like the footsteps.
Okay,
It's garden
you called
steps.
it what again?
Garden
Coalition of Community
steps.
Gardens.
Garden steps. I love that. Do you have a website or anything that we can direct our people to follow you, connect with you? Okay, Mrs. Tay is going to try to put that up there so the viewers could see.
Our website is communitygardenstb.org.
Community Gardens TV. T is in
T as in Tom, B as in boy.
okay, TV. Okay, she's going to put that up here on the screen so people could see it and connect with you all through your website.
Standing for Tampa Bay. Community Gardens TB.
Okay, TV. Okay. As soon as you get it up here. Again, there we go.
We'll look
Community
forward to
Gardens. Is
people
that
letting
it?
us know that they have questions. We'll do our very best to, stick in there with some good answers. Thank you, Ms. Tammy.
Most definitely. And this will still be out on YouTube at all times. It'll also be connected on our platforms on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, where people can get access to you to get that knowledge. Also, I'm going to be in contact with you because you've named a couple of different great people that are connected to you with the youth program, as well as the other young lady that actually, what did you say she does? Install gardens. I would
Yes,
love to speak
yes.
to her because we want to make sure we highlight those ladies. Again,
Absolutely.
thank you. You guys have a blessed day, and thank you for taking the time. And hopefully I'll see you soon. And I will be in contact so we can plan the Women in Agriculture Conference in your area.
Well, perfect. Have a good day. Be well.
Pending COVID, because I don't want to seem like I'm a fibber. Pending COVID, because I am like, if the pandemic numbers stay up, I'm really scared. So I'm trying to,
Absolutely, but we can do a lot with
yeah,
with media these days. So yeah.
Most definitely. Thank
Be
you.
well.
Yeah, see you later. Bye bye.